we saw her. It kept trying to get in, and but she eventually got in, huh?
Who's this woman?
Marianella was the our hostess at the mini food though.
Yeah.
She is.
Oh,
She
Hello.
probably has an official name, which Rosemary.
Hello.
Marianella,
Hey there.
welcome.
Thank you for joining.
And Rose, I don't know your official title there, Marianella. Maybe you or Rosemary could let me know so we can properly introduce you.
Okay.
There.
Okay. Perfect.
So Eleanor watched the Peace Poll celebration yesterday with Fumi. That's wonderful.
Yeah, can you hear me now? I've been trying to unmute for the last minute. Am
Yes.
I unmuted now?
Yeah, you're good.
Great. Yeah, because you like shot 3 questions at me and I'm going, trying to answer. Anyway, I'll start with the last one, if I may. Yes, Thomas was there on her behalf and she received the recording of, because she has DVDs made for her since she doesn't go on internet. So she'll be watching that this evening.
Wonderful.
So she'll be there. The other question you asked me was, where in Chicago did I grow up? And I grew up on the south side, about 20 minutes. At that time, it was 20 minutes from Chicago on the Indiana-Illinois border in a town called Lansing, Illinois.
Oh, Lansing. Okay. Blew by that today. Yep. Okay.
And the last question was to introduce Marianella.
Okay. Marianella is on the advisory council of the Minifundo, along with moi and Eleanor. So we're 3. We're like the 3 musketeers. So Marianella was invited to our call tonight, and she has some wonderful words to say. Oh,
okay.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, let me bring us into circle here. I'm going to play a video. So hold on just one second. Let me see if I can screen share.
You are invited to experience unity. It's time to put aside the differences that divide us. And embrace the beauty of each one of us being different, being unique, being ourselves. In the essence of who we truly are. A beautiful array of human beings across the planet. So many different ways of being human. So let us get to know each other. Let's spend time with each other. Let's learn from each other. And let's open our hearts to each other. And let's find the unity that exists right in the middle of the richness of our diversity. We are human. We are unique. We are one.
So with that, I say welcome to everyone who is able to make this wonderful reunion. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Bob.
For what? That's the calmest I've been all day. I needed that.
Me
Wow.
too.
Wow. Yeah. Pleasant to have you all so we can reminisce a bit and share our joy with Raina Shea and Talia and David, who were with us in spirit without question. Raina Shea and Talia and David, as traditional, we had all of the class photos from all 9 prior events on display with us and in our hearts the whole time we were at the mini fundo. And our intention this evening is to share what's on our heart, for those of us that were able to be together, share what's on our heart. And in this day of thanks, this day of gratitude, so much to be grateful for. We're blessed with everything that's in our life. It's for our good. So,
Hey,
hey, Flo, how are you?
Flo.
There's blankets here too. So, okay.
There's what?
Oh, I was talking to Renee.
Oh, Renee's
We're
there.
cold because my daughter freezes us out here.
You've only been there 2 days. She's trying to chill you out of the place. Hi, Renee.
That's what my brother-in-law used to do. He used to visit my sister up in Vermont, and he would say, okay, every day he would successively turn down the thermometer. You go, let me get back to where it's nice and warm.
Yeah.
Wonderful to see you two together.
Yes.
Yeah, it's good to be together.
What a treat.
Yeah, you may need to turn off your background just because you keep floating in and out.
Floating in and out.
But
so you got to, Renee, you got to have her today because we were, because we just blew by Chicago about 5 hours ago. So
did you really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're in Louisville,
Kentucky right now.
Southbound.
Just went over.
How was the traffic?
It was non-existent.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so
Good.
that helps. Hopefully that'll be for tomorrow. So it turned out to be really good.
Yeah.
But we kind of thought we'd just have a chat and see who would like to talk about how they've landed. What was your experience once you landed? Also, because we have people here who didn't go on the trip, they may have some specific questions they'd like to ask. And then also, Marianella, who was our host at the El Mini Fundo, she may have, I believe she said she has some words that she would like to share with us. So I don't know if that's a place to start. Yeah. Marianella, do you want to go ahead and
okay,
start?
Okay.
Wonderful.
I will try in English, but if you can understand, you can ask Rosemary.
Okay. Wonderful.
Well, I want to take advantage of this space to thank you, very, very thank you. First of all, to God for the opportunity to have shared with you and to start a friendship that I hope it will last forever.
Thank you.
You can understand me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
100%. 100%.
Okay. In Costa Rica, you have a place in our heart and a home in Orosi. We really want to all of you to come back here. Really, really, I want that you come back. That is why we hope that you can honestly tell us what things we can improve. Could be big things or little details. What things I need to improve in order the next visit of you all in the perfect for you. And I send all the energy from Orosi, Secret Valley. Orosi is the energy that love, um, um, health, and peace. And I am going to be here only a listener because you know my English is bad, but I am stay here for listener. Just thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
you know, I think the only thing that could be improved is more of your homemade desserts. No, I'm just kidding. Just
Okay.
kidding. No, everything was so wonderful. And I know you're looking for ways to improve. And you know, it's we'll tell you ways to improve from an American point of view. But a lot of your visitors are Costa Rican and from South America, and they have very different preferences and things they're used to. So, you know, I think we could just say, you know, tell you this is kind of what we're used to, or, you know, but it doesn't mean that it's that you would necessarily want to do that, you know. But I think some people have written up, I think Linda Frank has written up some things that will be very helpful for you. And I really appreciate your open heart and also wanting to improve. And then you have to tell us, how can we improve as guests?
Okay.
We were, I really encourage everybody that's listening to the recording and that's here to share your notes of suggestions, gratitude and suggestions with Marianella and the advisory council. Our excuse is we only got home and immediately got back in the car and went to Wisconsin for a week and a half. But so we'll be doing that. But it'd be wonderful to have others share their experience so that as a forerunner to one of the early groups there, we can be of help to you all, to be of help to other groups as well.
Right. And so my question for you, Marianella, and Rosemary as well, is like, you know, do we tell people to contact you? Are you encouraging more groups like us? You know, do you want us spreading the word, or you want to keep it private? You know, what is your desire?
That's the big question, because we typically obviously refer people to Sunrise Ranch, and we've referred people to White Eagle Lodge. So
other places we've stayed.
yeah.
You're muted.
Rosemary. Rose.
So Rosemary or Marianella, I can't hear you.
Rose, quizás usted puede decirlo mejor.
You have to ask her. No.
Rosemary, you're muted.
She's trying to get unmuted.
How about now?
Now.
How about now?
You're good.
Good.
It's really strange. Every time I go to the bottom of my phone to find the mute button, it disappears. So anyway,
Yeah.
whatever that's supposed to mean. But thank you for helping me by unmuting me, Noelle. Since that question has been directed by Marianella to me, I would like to say yes. You are more than welcome, and we would appreciate your recommendation, your turning them over to us. And you know, the website, our correo, our email is listed now. That's out there. And I guess the one thing to keep in mind, if you were to recommend or even suggest the Orosi Mini Fundo, is that we are not a boutique hotel. We are not a hotel. We are a sacred, as Eleanor will say, an ashram type, a boutique ashram. I suppose you could use that term, boutique ashram. Okay, so the word sacredness is really part of our description, And the foundation is really based on three principles, and that is sustainability in the environment, peace, and education. So, those three themes or those three poles are what groups that would be accepted, I guess I would say, to come to the center. We're not a yoga center. There are plenty of yoga centers in Costa Rica, and they're wonderful. Yeah, I think that's what I'd like to say. The answer is a big yes, and with an appreciation at the end of it. So thank you very much. And I would really like to hear from others, but I would also like to share, because I have three categories to share with, but I'd like to hear from others first. And just call me back in when the time is right. Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So this is really just to ask people how you landed, what was your experience, how you are now, what's going on in your life, what's insignificant now. So it's just open mic. So my little promo for this at open mic, gratitude offering. So if you would like to start, just unmute, and there's not any protocol here tonight. So, and if somebody doesn't do it, I'm just going to call on you because I've been hearing different stories.
Rena Shea, did I see your hand up earlier?
She was not there.
Yeah. Well, Noelle had said something about people who weren't there might have questions, and she was asking the others to speak about how you landed. And I just wanted to throw in, it'd be nice to hear a little bit about your experience and maybe how that may have changed with you when you landed or something like that. But I'm anxious to hear a little more about what you all did and how great your experience was, what you got out of it, personally. Each of you, did you have personal growth or revelations that would that you're willing to share? And then, like, sometimes you get those things in the moment, but then when you get home, does it go away? Is it just sitting there in the back, or is it very present for you? Those would be some of my questions.
Great.
Those are great questions.
Thanks.
So, Marco, you're in the upper left-hand corner, so I'm going to call on you.
Left-hand corner, huh?
Yeah.
We knew you'd be on the far left. Yeah.
Gotta jump in here.
Rena, I would like to suggest that you read the wonderful article that Noelle and Rosemary and many others contributed to concerning a really great synopsis of things that we did, things that we saw, things that we shared. As far as myself goes, landing back in Appleton, Wisconsin, and then to my home in Winneconne was quite traumatic, actually. It took me about 3-4 days before I felt reoriented to my home, I guess, in quotes. For one thing, I was thrown into all of a sudden a huge community of 25 people who I was with pretty much 24/7, and I've been pretty solo since my husband passed away in 2015, and it was a big change for me to try to hear what everybody was saying, even just trying to get everybody's names and then backgrounds, and I mean it was absolutely fabulous, but at the same time it was blowing my mind and overwhelming my mind too. And just about the time I was starting to get used to it, back home I went. So it was a great experience. It was very expansive, very reflective, very empowering. I'm hoping that I mean, I've been showing my little slideshow to family and friends and trying to explain to them what it was like. And just couldn't have been with a better, more loving, open group than we were. And that's pretty miraculous right there, too. So thank you.
Margot, do you happen to have your slideshow available?
Well, I guess I mean I have it on my phone under albums. I don't know how to access it to show everybody, but eventually I'll try and get it to you if you want it.
Okay,
It's
yeah, I'd
nothing.
like it, and I can
Okay.
edit it into this. Margot, give us one example of like what was one of a peak experience for you?
Oh, Noel. I think it was the hot springs for me because I had been sick and then just laying in that hot water and then having the thunderstorm come up and the rain washing the mud off of us, the two of us, under the hidden waterfall. That was pretty special, and being able to ride the public transport and Orlando taking us all over the place, and I like that a lot. But and I also liked going to Guayabo too, and just sensing and feeling the ancestry and the wonderful ants. Watching how as a team of sensuous beings how they got along and just kept going. So
yeah,
awesome. Very good.
Thank you.
Speaking of Guayabo, I think I'll call on Gail next, Gail Nystrom, because she was really the impetus for us to go to have that into our schedule. But she's also the founder of the Costa Rican Humanitarian Foundation, and that's where we spent our first day. And that, I'm just going to speak for myself, that was one of my peak experiences, being with the children. And you know, we played with them, we danced with them, they fed us, we clothed them, because we all brought 2 suitcases, one with our clothes and one to donate whatever it was that we had to the children. And then they organized it such that a child would come in and then go and they'd be helped to pick out shoes and some clothes and some other things. And then all of us lined the hallway coming out of there, and it was like a hug line. So we got to hug each child that was with they got their present, and it meant so much to them. And then the other thing was the play that the grandmothers and the teenagers, is multi-generational play that they put on called In the Time We Have Left. And it was so emotional for me because, of course, I was just thinking about my friend Pam, who couldn't be with us because she was, you know, killed the month before, you know, some of you don't know, in a motorcycle accident. So, you know, she was only 56, and we always think we have forever. And, you know, they really put the perspective of, you know, they told the life story of actually one of the residents, one of the community members there who survived domestic abuse, went on to have, you know, she told her life story. And in the end, she, you know, returned to the light. And it was just so beautiful. I don't think there was a dry eye in the place. That was just so, you know, made me reflect a lot, and I'm sure others on, you know, there's only the present moment. You know, we don't, nothing else. We have nothing else. And that, but we, speak for myself, seemed to always take it for granted, thinking that, so my mother always reminded me, we know not the day nor the hour that we return to the light. And so it was very poignant. And I really, that was one of the highlights for me. And that was the first day. But then it just kept building from there. So I'm going to turn the talking stick over. It looks like Marty, you're up next.
What you call him, Gail?
Oh,
Yeah.
Gail Nystrom. Wait a second, Gail. Did you disappear? Gail Nystrom.
Yeah, no, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but can you turn on your camera?
I don't know. I don't know. In this army video.
There you go. There you go. You're on.
You
Yeah.
can see me.
Yeah. What
I
are some
can't
of your
see.
reflections from having us bombard you?
And after.
Well, it wasn't bombarded. That's okay. It was delightful. Yeah, I was apprehensive in the beginning when we first started work, thinking about how we could organize it, but it was very, very clear to me how the order of things should happen. The whole thing from the first time we met Bob and Noel, it was guided. The whole thing was guided by the powers above. I mean, it was really amazing. And when you talk about going back home, now think about this. When I was in Peace Corps, I spent a year living with indigenous, and then I go back home to New Jersey. I mean, come on. It's culture shock. It's reverse culture shock. And you have to be really gentle with yourself to, kind of get your bearings again, because everyone had such deep and meaningful experiences, and then all of a sudden you're back to, well, doesn't everybody in the world know what I did, and wasn't it wonderful? And they're kind of going, okay, yeah, that's fine, now let's go out and shop at wherever and get a new dress. So it's good that you all are keeping in touch. We're all keeping in touch with each other. I like that a lot. I think it was really important. And so it so for me, it was like, imagine you're having the president come visit your house, and imagine the things that you would do to prepare and make sure that all things are in order. And that's what it was. It was like stressful, but not in a bad way, just stressful in a good way. And then I think by Friday I relaxed. No, but there were things I was like, questioning, but I tried to keep in touch with my universal self, as Barbara Marx Hubbard says, forget the local self. The local self is just running around going blah, blah, blah. Like, remember when Michelle Obama talked about having her first formal dinner, and she said, on the top we look like swans gliding along, but underneath our feet are paddling. So that was kind of how I, as a person responsible for the outcome, in many ways shared, of course, with the other three, but it was a big task, and it was very welcome. And so I'll stop in a minute. The thing that happened for me was that I got booted up to another level from all the things that we talked about. And I'm doing so many things that are very, very amazingly advanced in my development, in my work with all the people that I work with. And I'm not going to go into details, but I had the message, I got the message that it is now time to put into action all these ideas that you've had for all these years. It's like get the program going, because you don't have that much more time left, in a way. And so I've been doing a lot of very higher level activities, meeting with government people and bringing them together. I went to an activity on Monday, and they gave a presentation, and after their presentation was over, I got up and I spoke from my heart, and I said, listen, you guys are in your offices, and I'm here in my grungy clothes, etc. Anyways, I talked, and they applauded me. And this was like high level government officials in their suits and ties and their high heels. And then by chance, I'm in San Jose today, and there's three of them at the same place I am, and we talked again about what we're going to do. So it's clear to me that my goal now is to be the bridge again between a place like La Carpio and the kinds of people who live there, a place like Guayabo and the kind of spirituality that exists there, and a place like the Peace Center and the kind of efforts they're making. It's be the bridge again. And P.S. I got bronchitis, almost pneumonia, and my doctor said, you go to bed and you do not get up. So I did. I went to bed for 3 days and kind of gathered myself together. And I got these brilliant inspirations while I was sick. I might have been delirious. I don't know. But it was really cool, actually. And now I'm on a second round of antibiotics because they're not sure that the first one did the job all the way. So, but I'm good. I'm good. I'm taking care of myself, so it's okay. So I think that's all I have to say for the moment.
Bob has a question for you or a comment.
So you, Gail, Giselle, you host groups. The foundation, the Carpio host groups all the time over all the years. It's not my ego asking how we were, if we were different, how we were different, but rather for you, was there something that you could articulate that was just distinctive compared to a group of college students coming or a group of doctors on a very specific and finite mission, et cetera?
Well, because I could speak my inner heart with you all. And I'm not going to tell a bunch of teenagers that I landed in a rocket ship or a spaceship in Tortuguero, or that the voices of Guayabo speak to me. I mean, that would be a little bit too much for them probably. And so I felt fearless with you all, and that was good because it reinforced my belief system.
Wonderful. Wow.
Wow.
That's a heck of a testimonial for the circle, for the energy of the circle.
Yeah. And Gail, just briefly for like maybe 2 sentences about what La Carpio and what Guayabo for the people who weren't there, so they have some.
La Carpio is a upwardly mobile poverty community made up of 25,000 Nicaraguan refugees that have been here between 20 and 3 years. Some came in 2008, others came in the 1990s. And Guayabo is a sacred, extremely sacred indigenous, I don't even know if I should say indigenous because we think of Indians, but there are beings that left behind their knowledge in this place. And from the first day I went there in 1977 was the first time I went to that place. And at that time, I was freaked out because I kept hearing, you all who went to Guayabo know what I'm talking about. I kept hearing things and seeing things. And I even had a little animal encounter at that time. So it's extremely high level spirituality in that place.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
Beautiful. Okay, Marty, you care to share anything? Thank you, Gail.
Thanks, Gail.
Okay, I'm going to silence my microphone now and maybe find my video again.
Oh, Raina Shade, just briefly, Raina Shade, I sent you a copy of my article. Did you not? Did you get it?
I may have missed it, but I now I know where to go look for it.
Yes, I sent it to Talia and David also.
Okay, I think I know where to look for it.
Okay. Just want to make sure. All right, go ahead, Marty. How did you land, or what was your peak experience? What was your peak experience, and how did you land? And anything else you want to say?
I don't know if I've yet defined my peak experience. How I landed, I'm still writing, because I had a lot of spiritual experiences while I was there. And that's what I've been, reflecting and writing about. And every trip to Costa Rica has been a big spiritual experience. And this one was maybe different because it was a collection of spiritual experiences that I'm still discovering. Um, um, well, and it's still ongoing, those classes with Barry. It's it continues on. So I feel like the trip hasn't ended. So yeah, so it's different from that perspective. And heck, I'm starting to look at my next trip back. So it's yeah, it's because well, this trip has not ended, so it's very different. And then I made connections in this trip that I hadn't in other trips. Um, so so now it's like I have friends, I have people there that I want to go back and see. So it's almost like I North Carolina is my second home. Now it's like Costa Rica is my second home. So gosh, yeah, it's I that's why I said I'm still writing, because I'm I'm thinking, gosh, I I think I'm going to start wintering there instead of North Carolina. I'm not really sure what the outcome's going to be of this, but it's going to be significant. So, um, and then, so let me share something that happened today, because it it kind of rocked me. It was one of those things that happen that make you think. It didn't have a bad outcome, but it still made me think. I had Thanksgiving dinner with a lot of family members, and I guess I would call her my niece by marriage. Her mother was there, and as everybody was busy putting dinner together, and there were a lot of people. There are a lot of people there. All of a sudden, my my niece's mother like collapsed in the kitchen, and I had been wondering, something happened. It was the day I got back from Costa Rica. They left early in the morning and left me a note, saying, or texted me and said that they had to go take care of something. So I'd kind of been wondering about her anyway. Um, and and she collapsed in the middle of the kitchen, and I wasn't quite sure if she was having a spell, exactly what was going on. And I mean, the ending of the story was that everything was okay, but in that interim, while she was on the floor and we were trying to figure out what happened, because I heard her hit the floor and turned around. So I didn't know why she hit the floor. And so in those moments, you I wondered, is my niece going to lose her mother? And you know, so it's in those moments when your heart is like sinking down to your feet because you don't know what's gonna happen in the moment. And it's those moments that are stretching you, because there's all that joy because you're with family members and you're hugging each other and you're happy to see everybody, and then something like that happens and it's pulling you in that other direction. So so anyways, it just you know, it was just one of those moments that kind of pushes you in both directions and makes you think. And like I said, everything was okay at the end of the day. It was just that the universe pushing, you know, pushing in both directions. Like, yeah, okay, here's joy. Okay, now now
it's kind of like even just like the play and the time we have left. You know?
Yeah.
She had wonderful moments in her life, and you know, not so wonderful moments, but sure made me think. I don't know about anybody else when you go through an experience like that.
Yeah.
Keep writing, Marty. I've enjoyed what you've written so far. So
I am I am still, it's
and you know, when you get that house down in Costa Rica, remember it has to have 20 bedrooms.
20. Oh, I heard 3. How many containers can I'm looking at containers, and in my mind I'm thinking, how many can you stack? You know, you can put them side by side, and how many
CCC condominiums.
Well, those that stay at the hospital, you know how humbly we can stay and how luxurious we can stay, as we did in the condo.
Yeah. Well, if it's warm enough, I guess we can just put
we'll just camp.
Awesome.
Well, let me move on to
okay.
Thank you, Marty. Let me move on to Renee and Flo for their reflections.
There were so many high points that it's really hard to, you know, pick one, but I really loved the flag ceremony at the University for Peace. For some reason, that really just drew to me. And then my other favorite was at Guayabo. And I could feel our ancestors with us, and watching Renee and her hair blowing in the wind and the drum beating and just feeling that all. I mean, you could feel that down to the soul. And then how beautifully we were taken care of at the Minifundo. I really appreciated that. And I realized we were stretching people by our requests for our personal dietary needs and all that stuff. And I did appreciate everything that they did to accommodate us. And all of the processes people brought us through. And to me, the friendships and all these processes and meeting the kids and everything, it just builds. One thing builds on top of each other, and it makes you strong. And I'm going to be a little crude and say that it gives me balls. You know, it gives me balls to want to do more. And I thank you all for giving me balls. That's for you. I don't know how
I never thought I'd hear that come out of Flo's mouth.
Me neither.
Yeah, I don't know how I can follow that.
I knew someone, Barb, Flo, who used to say, instead of being a female, balls, ovaries out. That's there was her way of saying, you know, get your balls on.
I think,
but I really do feel that, you know, everybody is so inspirational, and all the different ways that we can be inspired. And landing, landing is not easy, because we have all this beautiful posse with us, and then we don't. And so we have to take all that inspiration that we received and try to figure it out. And I'm still working on it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, folks.
Yeah. So the getting there was a challenge, and I'm trying not to be resentful that I missed Le Carpio and all of the things that you got to experience, but I feel like I did get to live it a bit, as people shared, and the pictures, and the whole experience. Maybe next time, Gail. But for me, it was really hard to pick a highlight, because the whole thing was just a reboot. Every single process was a reset and a realignment, and it felt like this fast moving train that just held us with such compassion and desire to show us we were supposed to all be there. We were interweaving, interconnecting, meeting people for the first time, and missing people that hadn't been able to come. And hopefully this isn't the last year that you're going to do it, Noelle and Bob. You cannot retire. No, thank you. Because now it's like the flame has been lit, and we're all anxious to continue that work. I do want to say that Guayaba was such an experience. I felt like I was getting a chance to not only honor our ancestors, but literally honor the type of shamanism that I have learned and that I have immersed myself in. And it was just like a culmination of, feels so right. It feels so good. And that I got to share it all with you. That was good. One thing that was really clear to me was the farther I got from Orosi, and even though we were kind of hunkered in for the Peace Pilgrim thing, it started to feel different. And then on the plane, it started to feel really different. And I didn't want it to feel different. I didn't want it to end. I wanted to kind of stay in that cocoon of real love. And then getting home, it was like, well, love is wherever you are. You have all of these connections. You have all of these, oh my God, all the Zoom calls I've been invited to. I don't know how you guys do it. Like every day there's a Zoom call, and I cannot fit them all in the schedule. But I'm just grateful. So very grateful for what everyone gave. And I received it, and I'm grateful.
It was so wonderful to have you back, Renee.
Yeah.
Haven't seen you since 2016.
Yeah.
And and that's how CCC is. Once you CCC, you can't get rid of us. So it was really just so wonderful to have you back and see you in your glory, because both of the things that you shared, I don't know how to say it, the edu, as well as you were just owning Guayabo. It was just so powerful. And thank you so much for that connection.
Thank you.
That you helped, help some of us that don't, at least speaking for myself, don't see the ancestors or feel that energy. That's not my avenue, but you really brought it in, especially with your with the piece grid also, personalized for us.
Thank you.
Thank you. You brought
Amazing.
many gifts to us. Thank you. Well, I think next on my screen is the Revs.
The Revs of Louisville, North Carolina.
Louisville.
Louisville.
Lewisburg.
Lewisburg.
I'm such a
Lewistown.
He's going to get revved up and he's letting me go first.
Should we ask them what color socks they have on?
I'm trying to remember which ones I have. They're just boring little hearts today. Between Barry and I, we were both like going for the sock contest. Barry wins, feet down though.
Oh, yeah.
Like he had every day he had a different color sock. Oh, so the question, remind me of the question that we're answering. And yes, I sound like Kermit the Frog. And yes, my 14-year-old son is here and he's playing his game in the other room. And it sounds like somebody is being attacked, but I promise you it's just him having his joy playing this game, if you hear that.
I think it's a two-part question. It might be like, what was a peak experience or something that just really, you'd like to share with other people. The other thing would be about how you landed once you returned.
I stuck the landing. I'll start with that one. No. I had a couple of peak experiences, I would say, that I'm really grateful for. And this may sound, if you don't know me and you don't know my work, this may sound that I'm being like overly self-aware, maybe. But I was really different on this trip. So normally when I'm normally like holding space for everyone else, and I'm like holding 50 different things, and the way Bob and Noelle and Gail and Rosemary and Marianella, like the weavers that we had held, is usually what I do. And so it was fantastic for me that I didn't have to think or worry, and I didn't even once, because the first day I drew the card that said just be, and I'm like, yep, just be. So for people who met me for the first time, I became very self-aware of the doing Rebecca and the being Rebecca. And the being Rebecca exists. It's not that she doesn't. It's just that every time I'm usually with a group, I'm so busy doing for everyone. And so I become this go-to person to get things done. And so it was a very beautiful experience for me to be in another country and to be with such incredible people who were offering such loving experiences and processes. And Renee, I have to tell you that, I mean, I loved all the processes. I particularly loved the edu. Like, I wanted to get a link from you. I wanted to see where I can do it with you again. If you do it in Zoom, I want to be there. Your heart shone so much through that with your love of it. It made me love it. And I just loved that whole experience. So I wanted to thank you for that. It was really, really meaningful to me. But just how everyone gave of themselves in their own processes, and each of those were peak experiences for me, seeing everyone show up. And then the details at El Minifundo, just the details of even having the beautiful little keychains in the room, that were made for us with, and mine was, I took the butterfly, Robert got the monkey, but and the details of the loving care around the meals and the way the meals were presented. I took a photograph pretty much every day of the beautiful meals, reminding me that I usually eat like big plates. I'm like, I can have little things and be full and just slow down. And so Marianella and Rosemary and the team there was just so loving. And I so appreciate, I'm vegan and I'm gluten-free, and I never felt like I was a burden, and I appreciated that you respected that my dietary things and our dietary things were, for many of us, spiritual reasons, why we eat the way we do. And so it meant a lot to me. the care, and very much I hope you feel that it was worth all the effort, because as an event planner, I know how much effort it takes to put together multi, different meals and things. And same for you, Gail, and your beautiful team of honoring, our the breadth of our dietary needs. It was really beautiful. And then the last thing that I wanted to share that I hope would be a blessing to anyone who wasn't in Costa Rica, because each of you who are here and you're like, oh, I can imagine. Like usually I'm like, I hold space for people in Zoom and they're on sites doing things and I'm having that FOMO, that fear of missing out. Like, oh no, what am I missing, But there was this combination of words that some of us may have heard, and that is pura vida. And I could say what I think it might mean, but pura vida translated means pure life. And it's a very contemporary history, these two words, but it's a way of being that is similar, it sounds like, to aloha. And what it reminded me of in talking with our wonderful driver, Chema, in the last days that we were there, I asked him, what does pura vida mean, to you? We'd heard about it with different people told us different things, and you'd meet people and in passing, they might say pura vida, when you're walking away from them, you're like, that's nice, pure life. Yeah, I wish you were pure life too. And Chema said, it means everything. And I just started tearing up, like, it means everything. He said, it's what you say to connect you with another person. And what I hope in each of you who may be hearing Pura Vida for the first time is that wherever we go, we can carry Pura Vida. We can carry that. We can embody that in our relationships, in our home, in our neighborhoods, in our work, And I got a mug for myself that says Pura Vida, and it's small. It's even a smaller mug than I'm used to. I usually, Robert's like, you want a small mug? What's wrong with you? I've been drinking, I've been using smaller mugs. I use my Pura Vida mug. But to remind me that I can bring Pura Vida and that connection if I'm speaking with someone that I don't politically agree with. Pura Vida, I wish them a pure, beautiful life. And that as an aspiring peace builder, I really intend to carry that with me wherever I go, in my community here, and hopefully when we go back to Costa Rica to refill on the Pura Vida. But it was such a beautiful expression and a way of being. And so, and I just wish Pura Vida for everyone here. Thank you for inviting my heart. Thank you, each of you. And for those of you who are leaning in and saying, oh, what happened? It's like you're there too now, because you're like mirrors taking this in. So thank you.
Thank you, Becky.
Thanks, Becky. I'm glad you all were there.
Yeah. It was, you were kind of like, so many things had to be moved for you guys and completed for you two to come.
It was really challenging. We didn't think, many times we said, no, we can't, we're just not able to. And we were okay with it, but you both kept saying, are you going to come? Like, what? And then we did. And then the exclamation point was when we were driving home, and some of you know this, was how did we land? Was unfortunately a buck landed on our car when we were driving home and gave his life. We got in a car accident at 2:00 in the morning on the drive home from the airport. And we've been receiving buck medicine. We just found out the car is totaled, which is not good news, because now I need a car. And yet we're taking buck medicine, and he died like a couple hours after the witching hour of Halloween. It was 2:00 in the morning on November 1st. Mm-hmm. And usually I'm in ceremony at that point. I do my own thing for that. It's a very special time for me with my ancestors. And I was with the ancestors. I was near this deer, and the car that we were driving, he ran into us. We didn't run into him. And so it's been a lot. And if we'd been a split second later, I don't think it would have turned out as well for the humans as it has done. So I'm grateful for that. We stuck the landing. We bucked the landing. Bless his heart. Bless his heart. Sorry, jokes around deer around here are plentiful.
And then we had a doe in our yard. day or two later.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes.
it was right outside the window here, just grazing on my tree. His tree, I guess. Her tree. You done? You complete?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it's hard to choose. I don't know. Because each of the segments carried a different energy, so it's hard to say. You know, it's not apples to apples or oranges to oranges. You know, obviously the Carpio, when we were first there, that really touched me, especially from the service work I've done in the past that I haven't done since I moved here. So I'm missing that and can't wait to get back to Le Carpio. That's actually what I think about more than anything. It's like, oh, I got to get back. I want to go back to Le Carpio. So, you know, started back up on Rosetta Stone when I got back and hitting all the books and so.
I'm sorry, Robert. I didn't catch what you're doing.
Oh, Rosetta Stone, learning Spanish or relearning. I took 4 years in high school, but I'm a little.
Oh, you're relearning Spanish.
I'm brushing up. Yeah.
Okay.
Time down there, so we'll see.
Very cool.
So yeah, that touched me in one way, and then Guayabo. I mean, that was just powerful. I still feel like I'm carrying that with me. I still feel like my feet are on that land when I stop and feel it. Yeah, I've got to get back there, so hopefully I'll be back there in January. But so yeah, we're undecided on Costa Rica, so we decided we might try to buy a place there, so we can make up our mind. So Rosemary's been very, very helpful in that. So we made an offer today, so we'll see what happens.
Oh my!
Oh wow!
What else am I going to do with my 401k? I'm never going to retire, so I'm looking at drawing that out January 1st.
Wow!
Wow!
But it was not something we can justify. I told her we couldn't buy it just for us if we do, if it happens. But it's for everybody that's here. It's for CCC. It's for our class at One Spirit. Anytime they're down there, so you know.
Wow, that's amazing.
Wow.
So
we're detached from whether.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
I'm exploring more and more finance options.
So for those that aren't aware, Rosemary lives in a mountain home, and there's a little casita that's being built right next door to it, to her home. And she kind of is the builder, and she are friends, and so she kind of gets to pick her neighbors. As she
hopes. She's
hoping.
Working it.
She's hoping. It sounds like it's going to be the CRCCC, the Costa Rican CCC home.
Yeah, it's a 2-bedroom, about 750 square feet. So just down the street from Minifundo. So.
Up the street. Up the street.
That is up
the street.
Up the street. We didn't even walk there, so we don't.
Yeah, bring your hiking sticks, I guess, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good shoes.
Wow.
So yeah, it's sort of a big one. I mean, because in Minifundo, I think for me there it was the Sabbath dinner, Friday night. That was just a wonderful meal. I mean, to me, there's no sound more beautiful than silence. So, and just sitting there with the food and eating intentionally, you know, I was thinking about Thich Nhat Hanh, and he talks about like take an hour to drink a cup of tea, you know, and you just sip it, you know, that, you know, just, I have this thing with breakfast. She has these little spoons. I don't know if you can tell. I mean, here's my pinky. Okay. But this is kind of how I used to eat my ice cream. I would get one little tiny scoop of ice cream, and then I would take about, 20 bites out of that one tiny little scoop. Because there's as much flavor I found in this little thing as there is in a heaping spoonful, if you actually eat consciously. So it was nice not to have the distraction of conversation where you're just talking and you're doing this in between bites. So yeah, it's really hard to choose because all of it was so wonderful. I'm diving deep into the Essenes now. I'm actually going to add this to my 99-day mission next summer as one of the religions I'll teach. So I'm jumping into that because next summer I'll be doing a 3-month world religion course on somewhere between 8 and 10 different religions, about 12 hours each. So it'll be about 120 hours of programming I'll be putting on next.
Wow.
That's what's consuming my life here over the next 8 months is working on that. But
Robert, is that the Essene Gospel of Peace? Is that the one?
Yeah, this is all 4 of them. And then I have the first Essene as well.
Yeah, because someone's asking, Raina Shea wants the book title, A Scene Gospel of
Yeah, and that's all 4 books in one. And
Oh,
then
you
the
got all
first
4 books in
scene,
one.
if you find that one used, that's the last talk she gave there in Wilson, right before he passed. So yeah, I've already memorized several things out of these. I've got them in my flashcards here. So every day I memorize a scripture. So
He has one of those brains.
yeah, I was given a blessing. In Mormon church, you get one in your teenage years usually. I joined at 18, so I got it at 18. But in that blessing is that I have the gift of retention of scripture. I'll be given that gift, and quite often, especially something out of the Bible, I can just look at it one time and it's usually memorized. So at least in the short term. So
Wow,
kind of what I do. I have hundreds of verses memorized. So some I started up again this year recently. So it's my practice. It used to be one a day when I was in my 20s, so I'm doing that again. So, but now instead of just from one religion, it's going across every faith. So.
Right, wonderful. Thank you, Robert, Becky, and Talia and David are the ones who are asking about your guide. What'd you say his name was? Chambry?
Chema.
Chema.
Chema. I think
Jose
I
Marie.
gave them the information. So Dave and Talia are going in April to Costa
Oh,
Rica.
fabulous.
Yeah, we've got a guy.
We got a guy.
We got a guy.
And if we don't have one, Gail and Rosemary have one.
That's right. Between the 4 of us, we got all kinds of guys.
We'll be looking for a guy when we go.
And Rob,
They got the guy. They got the guy.
Robert, thank you for sharing as many videos as you already have, or
Yes,
videos
thank you.
and video clips. Just wonderful, really wonderful. That final night in the living room was epic, right, Rosemary? It was epic.
Epic.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, we'll go to Sheila and then Rosemary and then Bob.
Okay.
So Sheila, you want to unmute? Yeah. Don't look so surprised. You know I was going to call on you.
I thought I'd be last because I came in so late.
No.
Wow, I've been hearing so much, and I'm sure I missed a lot of really good stuff. But everybody I talked to about my trip, and I kind of bore everybody these days with it because I'm still living in it. I talk about basic, number one, La Carpio, and number two, the flag ceremony. I mean, those were like just the biggest highlights, like to point back to. But there were some other things that I relish. One was Barb's process with the hair, the brushing and the loving acknowledgments that everybody did. And I thought, wow, what a beautiful practice. In my mind, I'm seeing other people doing it for each other, just as I stood there as a witness, as everyone was, as opposed to necessarily being the one in the chair. I loved being a witness for that. It was so beautiful. I talk about a lady named Gail Nystrom, who's a force of nature, because she just blows my mind every time she tells a story. And gosh, there was so much, the forest, incredible. And being roomies with Renee after all these years was so fun. Just reconnecting. It was like we already knew each other, but we didn't really know each other that well last time, but we certainly connected really well this time. And also getting to know Claudia, who's here from Houston. Finally we connected, even though we met a year ago and didn't. This was a magical trip. There's no question in my mind. It really had a lasting, profound impact. And having the WhatsApps afterwards and the trickling in of different, videos and pictures. Thank you very much, Robert, and others. It just keeps the spirit alive in me and keeps me in that higher vibration. And then doing the class, of course, with Barry helps too. It's just ongoing. It's like it's still continuing, and that feels great. And it's so neat that even though Gail, Holly, and Talia and David weren't there, they're still part of us. They're with us in our hearts and our group. And
Raina.
And Raina, yes, of course. So Raina Shea. I don't know what to say. I landed and I got busy with work. Boom, 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 run, run, run. I'm actually in Ohio right now. I came up here to be with my mom for Thanksgiving. Had a great day and almost forgot about this call. So Anyway, I love you guys. I like I always say, fall in love with every single one of you. Really grateful that the Light Partners are doing amazing things that they do, bringing us all together.
Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you, Sheila. It's our joy.
Yeah.
I wanted to say something also.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, so time just got all expanded and compressed, but I came through New Jersey and visited my dad on the way back to Costa Rica, and they had just made the decision that he was going to move into a place where he could be helped more. He really did almost die in August, and we just said, well, we'll accept the outcome, but let's think about it a little bit. And so when my sister and brother and I did some things, anyways. So I turned right back around and went back to New Jersey, and I actually lived in the home that he's in, and it was rough. I'll tell you, it was something else. Sleeping there, eating the food and everything, not getting outside because it was so cold. But anyways, to make a long story short, because you know me and my stories, the man is upright, doing great, having Thanksgiving dinner dressed in a suit and tie, looking like a 60-year-old. I mean, it's just, he's totally, totally renewed. And
Wow.
I do think that a lot of it had to do with the energy that I brought there after this experience, coming and going and coming back again. And he's just a hoot. He's just the funniest, nicest 93-year-old you've ever met. So he's not giving it up yet. And good for him. And I think I like to share that with people because he inspires me, and maybe he inspires other people too, with parents that might be in the same situation. Yeah. So yeah, thank you for listening to that.
Go Oompa. Is that what you call him?
Yeah, Oopa. Everyone calls him Oopa.
Go Oopa.
He's a good guy. Yeah.
Great.
Wonderful.
Great. Thank you, Gail, sharing that joy. Rosemary. Uh-oh, where'd she go?
Where she is? She's just jumping around the checkerboard. There she is.
Okay. Okay, I guess I have to ask her to unmute. Well, for some reason.
Okay.
Thank you, Noelle. Yeah, I can't understand it either, but thank you so much for your help. We don't do this alone.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, wow, this has been wonderful. I'm glad that we're recording this for those that couldn't make it tonight, and I hope we get some more feedback from some of the others, because as I've said all along, and it's been said here, it was a lot of work, and at the same time, it was so worth it, and it was epic. And I think we've started something good. And I guess I'll just put in the plug from Eleanor. You now need to change your names. You now are the Co-Creator International.
Yeah, it's true.
That's true.
Yeah. So food for thought. Take it from her. Okay. So what I'd like to share with everyone are three different segments, and they won't be long, but one of them are words from the Advisory Council at the Minifundo, followed by some reflections and thoughts from Eleanor herself, and then finally, briefly, my reflections. So starting from the first one, which are words from the Advisory Council of the Erosi Minifundo. First and foremost, we'd like to thank you for making the choice to stay with us at the Erosi Minifundo. We realize that the decision to come to Costa Rica was risky, different. You were stepping into unknown territory, and you handled it well. It was guided. And I've heard that on this call prior to me saying it. It was definitely guided. It was more than we expected at the Mini Fundo, and energetic streams were opened up for each individual as well as the collective. The center simply vibrated with your conscious co-creating and sharing of your gifts throughout the space. We acknowledge the uniqueness of each of the participants, and we know that there is more to come. Your generosity in your words of gratitude, and I'll show you something in just a moment that is a reflection of that. But your generosity in your words of gratitude and your contributions are appreciated. Let's see, what else did I lose here? Thank you for making the choice. So I think I got all that. That's all from the council. And now I go to what some reflections from Eleanor. Thank you, thank you, thank you. She actually made a mosaic, and I'll show you that, that shows the gratitude that you all showed towards us. And she actually took the time, as she many times does. She's an artist, believe it or not. And she made this mosaic out of your very words. So let me see if I can show you this on the screen.
Here, let me make you a co-host. Here.
Well, she
doesn't
have it electronically, so.
Oh, she didn't have it like. Wait a second. Let me pin you. Wait a second. Let me make you spotlight for everyone.
Okay.
Okay. Now it's just out of focus, or
yeah, maybe back it up a little bit. That didn't work. Okay.
I think it's the blurred background is making it. It's not seeing that.
Yeah, it's all blurry. All blurry.
Oh shoot! So how do you make?
Can you turn off the blurred background? Do you know how to turn that blurred background off?
Have a blur.
How about none? Yeah.
There you go. Now try. There you go.
Okay. Show us.
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Oh, I see it. Love, light, love, gracias.
Great appreciation.
Is this our handwriting, or is this?
Yes.
I was going to say, I recognize some of that handwriting. Beautiful service, love, great appreciation, inner peace, blessing. Oh, that's really cool.
Wonderful.
Smiles, staff, impeccable. Oh, that's really cool.
All the comments were left on the altar.
Oh, you have got a.
Oh, please make a nice picture of that, photo of it, so that we can read it clearly.
Yeah, I will. I'll post it in the WhatsApp. Okay. Yeah, I'll take a nice picture. Yeah. But anyway, she did that, and she shared that at our last advisory council meeting, and talked about how she took all of those little notes that were written by you and put in an envelope, and she read each one carefully, and then she cut around the words that were out of your mouths, and she made this together. And on the very top, she typed peace and blessings. So that's from her.
Let's just a little backup. So this is from Eleanor and Eleanor Dittinger, and so you might want to just tell the folks who she is. You know, how would you look?
Eleanor is the founder of the Mini Fundo. She's been working at it for about 22 years. And what else can I tell you about her? Amazing soul.
She's kind of a colleague of Barbara Marx Hubbard. They're the same era.
Exactly. They actually knew each other and raised each of them 5 children at the same time. She was also a good friend of Avis Madison from the UN. We've heard her name tossed around when we did our peaceful dedication.
Right.
But anyway, so she is the founding member, or the founder of the Mini Fundo, and she's with us. And as she says, she's pushing 90 and she's still going.
Wow.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so here I'm going to show you something else. I'm still on Eleanor,
Okay.
Somebody, some lovely soul gifted her this.
Wait a second. Let me see where you are. Okay.
Spotlight.
Trying to spotlight. I can't use this thing without a mouse.
There you go.
Oh, what is that? A piece of
Rose
rose
quartz.
quartz?
Yes, it is. Does
Wow.
anyone claim who is the gift giver? She wants to know who gifted this to her.
I think it's Karen.
It makes
Karen,
sense.
to hear you?
Karen.
It makes sense. That makes sense.
She said something that
Rosemary.
makes me think that.
Rosemary. I hope this isn't a downer, but I actually borrowed that from the sanctuary little waterfall because it was so beautiful and I wanted to bring Mini Fundo into our altar. I just forgot to put it back.
But wait a minute, hold on a second. I hear you, but here's the waterfall. Here's the waterfall piece. Do you recognize this one? This is also rose quartz.
I didn't put it back, so maybe somebody else put it back.
Well, my sense is that this is the one that you're referring to. This was actually mine because it was on the waterfall, but this one was not mine. And this was gifted to Eleanor. And we're trying to figure out who she is. She said, ask who gave this to me because she wants to say thank you, but also she wants to know if whoever gave it to her knows. Do you see the heart inside of it?
Yes, I could see that heart.
Look at the heart within the rose quartz.
Lift it up.
Lift it higher.
Wait a second. Let me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can see that for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. Spotlight for everyone.
Yeah.
Bring it back a little bit. It's too close. Back a little bit more.
Yep. There you go.
Yes.
Yeah, you can see
Can
it.
you see that?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. So thank you very much to whomever. It will remain in the Mini Fundo, and we'll find out who gave it to her because there's a special gratitude from Eleanor to that person. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. The mosaic, the rose quartz, express gratitude to that person. Notice the heart inside of it. And yeah, I'll finish with this. My reflections from the retreat, as I've said all the way through, all I can say is it was epic. It was a lot of work and it was a lot of coordination, a lot of calls, and yet you can't really put a value on it other than it was priceless. It was absolutely priceless. And aside from the word epic, I would use the word harmonious. I mean, how many times have you been with a group of people in so many close situations where I absolutely did not hear one squabble, squibble, complaint? I didn't hear it. I don't know if my ears were closed. I don't think so. I think it was harmonious.
Oh,
and the energy that was circulating through the Mini Fundo, which was mostly my part, was absolutely fabulous. So I'd like to just say thank you again for your choice to stay with us and for planting your seeds of peace and harmony in our sacred garden of the Arosi Mini Fundo. Muchas gracias y pura vida.
Pura vida. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Wow. 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 Whew. You know, I really feel it was the Holy Spirit put this whole thing together when we made that. It all comes back to the story about the grandmother. And I'll just bore you with the story one more time. When I was there, when Bob and I were there in January, February, we're almost ready to go home. We've been there for like 3 weeks or something. And we're just about ready to go home 2 or 3 days before. And we're at Bonnie's house and Rosemary was there. She went through her Facebook and she went, oh my God. And she says, a grandmother was run over in front of Gail Nystrom's foundation. And Gail wrote a story about, how the grandmother didn't survive, but Gail got under the bus and ministered to her and said, "You can go in peace. We will find your family." And so I went, "Gail Nystrom. Wow." Said that name sounds familiar. So I went to my Facebook and went, "Oh yeah, we're Facebook friends." And why are we Facebook friends? Because of Barbara Marks Hubbard. And so then I sent Gail a message and say, "Hey, we're here for another just couple days. We'd like to get together." And so Gail, I think it was the same day or the next day or something for like, when was it? We met for lunch or something the next day, Gail. And then she took us to Guayabo. She took us to La Carpio. She squired us around everywhere. And then between Rosemary, visiting the mini fundo, I'm meeting Eleanor and Gail, like everything was already done. The whole, and it really was already done. There were little tweaks and details and stuff like that. But the thing is that I also feel like it was all done. And Gail, our Pam was killed September 1st in that motorcycle accident. But everything had already been done, so I could go to, we could go, could really go to Costa Rica and still have the CCC event as Pam definitely want. And of course, I definitely felt her presence there. But, it wasn't like I could really be present to CCC and everything was coming up, as well as to Pam and her family, and so it was beyond, to me, epic is too small a word. It was miraculous. How everything was put together. Everything was, yes, the spiral. The spiral was, we got that vortex spinning right away at the Carpio and it never stopped. And so, that's kind of the backstory of how this thing came together. Because, before we're all the plane coming back in February going like, we should have, maybe CCC should be in Costa Rica. So it was, we had meetings and other things like that, but it was already done. It was done. We just had to show up, really. That's how I feel about it.
Destiny.
Yeah. So it all came back. One grandmother.
Yep.
One grandmother.
Wow. Oh, wow.
And then to think,
wow,
those grandmothers put on that play.
Oh.
And I got to tell you, when they did that in the time we have left about her life, that was the most I cried for Pam. I didn't have time to cry for Pam, but seeing that play just really let me connect. So Gail, you have got to get that on tape. I've got to see it again. It was so amazing. The level that they put into that play, the backdrops, the costumes, how they made them, how they, it has to be seen by more people. That's just what I have to say. So anyway, thank you.
Does Robert have that one?
I don't think we did that one because we really, but it's going to
who knew?
It's going to be done a couple other places, and isn't going to be performed a couple other places, Gail?
That's interesting that you bring this up because they're going to start doing it for the local, for the government agencies that the schools and different venues that are much more out there in public. And the other thing is that I'm going to be working with the theme of suicide because there's a big concern about that. So on Saturday, I'm going to meet with the grandmothers and the teenagers, the teen girls, to develop a play on that theme so that we can go to high schools and see about that and how it can help people who are in that situation.
Wow.
So, yeah, and I thank you for saying that about that abuela because
she started all.
When that happened, She was under the wheel of the bus. And I climbed under there and I said, "What the hell are you doing?" And of course, the policeman was saying, "You can't do that." And the other Anna, who works with us, said, Giselle, don't, where are you going? And I just said, "I don't know." But you see, look at what her life brought about in an unexpected way, you know?
Yeah.
We would never have met you.
It's a direct line, and it's a direct line. And for us, for Noelle and I, it also is, for us, it's significant that, you know, it was Rosemary that saw your Facebook feed, Gail,
yeah,
and vice versa. And so
that connection.
And so that connection for us was one of all the pre-planned destiny of this.
It was pre-planned.
And it goes on. And now Flo and Renee are sitting together on Thanksgiving dinner out in Denver. You know, it all goes, it's a continuum, and it was destined to be. From myself, I'll say, and then we'll check in with Linda also, is that many times during the convergence and convergences past, I feel like my smile muscles are exhausted. Like I got a cramp with my face. I'm smiling so much, and it's here again tonight. And I got a couple notes that this idea of the long-lasting relationships that happen in this circle, they've been significant every year, and it has built year on top of year. And there are those of us that were at the first convergence together and the second convergence, and even knew each other before that with Barbara Marks Hubbard, that are sacred relationships that just continue to build. It was miraculous. I particularly also enjoyed all the processes, of course, and the processes for me are a double gift. They're a gift for me to be a part of the process, and it's a gift for me to witness that someone has chosen, aligned with the theme of the year, to give their gift outwardly, and for all of us to be able to provide by our energy and our love support of that, and also take away from it what we do, whatever that is for us individually. And for many years, we've had people that have hung around after the convergence to hang out together, either because they live locally or they wanted to stay a few extra days. This also was like over the top compared to past years on how, I mean, we were home, and you know, and 3 or 4 days after we got home, we went, oh, okay, the final person has finally gone home. And we were there a week, and there were people that were there longer than a week. And that connection with the Peace Center and the hostel was so heartwarming. It just felt like, okay, we had the convergence, at least the beginning moment and the ending moment of the convergence. And then afterwards, a whole bunch of us just took over a house, and we had our own thing there, having, you know, hanging out in basically a peace museum, and being able to, you know, spend time together and go in the different directions. And I was just thrilled to know that, you know, these 3 or 4 people got on a plane and went over there to that part of the country to be tourists. But I know you were also processing what happened at the convergence. And these people went over to that coast, and they were doing the same. And 4 of us went to visit the indigenous, and to go over to the East Coast, to the Caribbean coast, and partake in that. And all of that after time was just really, really significant. And I want to pay tribute, because a couple of you mentioned it when it comes to landing. I want to honor and support those of you who go home, land, and you're trying to explain this quote trip or convergence or retreat to the other folks in your life, in your local self life, because you aren't your local self anymore. You haven't been for a long time. You're your universal self, but you're trying to talk to people who are in your universal life part of your world. And I have appreciation for that too. You know, everybody at our church knew that we went to Costa Rica on a trip, and and they say, how was your trip to Costa Rica? A bunch of them went to England. A bunch of them have gone to Africa in the last year, and they go on trips. And we don't have the words for this, because this was not a trip. This was like a trip, man. And for us to be able to describe it, I really appreciate those of you that are single, because some of us are blessed to be couples, and we get to process on the airplane, standing in line at the airport, getting off the airplane, going to the grocery store the first day we're back. And we're very, very blessed to have, Noelle and I are blessed to have that. Robert and Rebecca are blessed to have that. Dave and Talia have for all these years. And I want to really honor those of you that, know that you're standing in your own power, you're standing in your own self, and that you continue to connect with whatever and however you do that with others to be able to continue to process. So the landing was interesting for me in that regard. And last thought, Rosemary, really appreciate you sharing our gratitude back to Eleanor for the generosity of sharing her home with all of us. A group that is not a single belief system or spiritual belief track and that sort of thing.
We're kind of hard to describe.
We're very hard to describe. You can use the words that you do.
Muy difícil.
To see what we have in common. And that's the most basic of love and appreciation. And everything else would come from a lot of different directions. So thank you all. Your blessing.
Thank you, Bob. And I will pass that on, and Marianella can do the same. She heard it too. And I found one more thing on my list. You all receive gold stars. You're good Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, because the staff said you left the room so orderly. They were so amazed. So thank you very much.
Yes.
The Convergers have a tendency to kind of do a pretty good job of leaving the place as nice or better than when we got there, because we want to be invited back.
Exactly. Very good.
Yeah. How Linda had that chance to share.
Linda, I don't know if you want to jump in here. We're just about ready to close out, but if you want to I want you to voice your presence here and share
how'd you land?
So yeah, I'll just add a couple of words. So I have to apologize for not being here on time. I just kind of lost track of time. I've been making shepherd's pie to celebrate the holiday. But I have to say that it was an extraordinary experience that I shared. In fact, I sent some reflections to Noelle and Bob. But I think the biggest thing for me was that not only did I have a vacation, and took time before and took time after to spend, but it was also this extraordinary experience of contributing to others and to experiencing others contributing to me in the processes. And I don't think I've ever been in a group that I've experienced that before in quite that way, for sure. But also that it was, as Rosemary said, that it was very harmonious. I have in the past had a lot of challenges with being in groups. And one of my challenges is I would prefer to just be alone. And so this was a really beautiful opportunity to experience not being alone, and in a really significant way. Marty and I were together the entire time. And Rosemary, which was really wonderful. And it was wonderful being with people. I think I knew about half of the people beforehand, but talking about the connections that were made were deep connections. And they were, I think the other part of it is that it's an extended group, meaning it wasn't just one discrete event. We're all connected and we all continue to be connected. And so it's as if, that wonderful net has been expanded. Indra's net has been expanded. And now we're even more connected and connected with each other. And I think that's been a really beautiful thing. And I just want to say to Gail that I so appreciate what you have done, what you do, and what you contributed to us by what you do. And that it's really heartwarming and inspiring. So I guess I'll just leave it at that and say
Beautiful.
Thank you to everybody who contributed to that. And I don't know if Marianella spoke or not.
She did.
Okay.
She did, and we recorded, Linda. So
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not posting on Facebook Live tonight because this is a special moment, but we have a recording, so you and Sheila, you can catch up with
Okay. And I just want to express my appreciation to Marianella and the rest of the staff for all that they did and for all of the extra efforts that they went to make our experience a positive and fulfilled one. So I just want to thank her especially and Rosemary for that.
Oh, I have one last thing.
So
thank you, Linda. I have one last thing that I'm going to say, and that because Fumi's not here, and that is that yesterday was International Peace Pole Day, World Peace Pole Day, and so there's an hour-long broadcast. We were on there. A number of you were on with us, and we got to brag about planting 3 peace poles in 1 week, and encouraging others around the world to do the same. And Fumi dropped by our house just like 3 days after we got back on a 5-hour notice to pick up her scarf, which she had left at the Mini Fundo. While we spent the night and we had dinner and had breakfast and sent her on her way, she said, here's what we're going to do. All 22 people that were at the convergence this year are going to plant a peace pole in the next year. And I'm going to go to every one of them to help them plant it.
That's going to be her caravan.
That's her caravan.
Yeah.
She wants to come help you plant a peace pole sometime in the next year.
Yep.
Wow.
Yay. Natalia, you want to jump in here?
Oh, yes. Well, I wanted to thank you all for sharing your experience. This was wonderful.
Thank you, Tanya.
And, I just, I recall Bob and Noel 10 or 11 years ago when we first met, and we've been together every year since then until now. So I feel like I'm part of this group. Some of you I have met over the years and some have not, and it's just really wonderful to see your faces again. And even Eleanor, as she came through, Rosemary, with you, and the little messages that she left in her mosaic reminds me of the grandmother tree with all the things you're grateful for that came across in that song that you were singing. And it was, what were their names?
Patel. Well, Daniel Namod, and forgot his first name, but something Patel. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have.
We did the song for you guys.
Yes.
Gee, what was our song we did?
It's one of our favorites.
Grateful for it all.
Nemo Patel.
Grateful for it all.
Yes, grateful for it all.
Yeah.
If you find that video and there's the grandmother who has all these notes of things she's grateful for, and she puts it on her Thanksgiving tree. That's what it reminded me of, the Eleanor. So it was a part of this. It was nice to meet her through your words and everything that you shared tonight. Thank you. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you, but my energy was just not up to it.
We're glad you took care of yourself. You're going to have a good time there in April. Really happy that you're going to go back because I know you two love Costa Rica.
We do. Pura vida.
So you have to go and visit Rosemary and Marianella and La Carpio. They'll,
yes,
you're coming. You'll get the royal treatment.
Dave has
just have one little thing to say. So I really appreciate all of you and the openness and the joy that you brought to this call tonight, and you brought to the CCC. And I feel like I experienced it through you. There's a thing called empathic joy. That's what it is. And I feel like I had that tonight, that experience of empathic joy. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you, David. And I'm going to tell you all, got a couple secrets for you. We're going to have Renee. Is going to be one of our January CCC guests. Conversationalist, right, Renee?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And we talked about that. You can't get out of it.
You just didn't give me a date, so now I know.
Well, tell me a Thursday night at 8:00 Eastern that you can do it. We're also going to have Barry, who is from Australia. He was with us.
Oh.
Very significant part of our gathering. And they do the conversation game online. So I'm talking to Barry about having us do the conversation game online.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the last thing I'm going to say is that we were talking about Mary Magdalene when we were in Costa Rica. And Stana said, well, there's a woman in Oshkosh where we were, where Pam lived. And she's written 11 books about Mary Magdalene. So we got together with her, and I'm listening to her book on tape right now. It's fascinating.
It is.
She's the most joyous person. Yeah. And her name is Laurie, Lauri, Ann Lumby, Lumby. And so she's going to be one of our guests in January as well.
Right.
So these Thursday nights,
they're cooking.
Please, it's always, it's always the same Zoom link. It's always the same time. So just put it on your bat station and tune in because, support these people who are giving us 90 minutes of their expertise if you feel called. So
and Thursday night is always the Angel of Wisdom. So tell me that's not a coincidence.
Perfect.
And therefore
there aren't coincidences. It's a synchronicity.
Yeah. Okay, synchronicity.
There you are.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that synchronicity. And we're going to say good night to everyone.
Go to bed.
And
we're hurting.
May peace prevail on earth, que la paz prevalezca en la tierra.
Okay.
Pura vida.
Love you
guys. Throughout the cosmos.
Muchas gracias, y'all.
Pura vida.
thank you guys for coming.
Thank
Love
you.
you.
For listening.
Muchas gracias.
Bye.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Good night.